Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. Oh,
No, you avoided the same scam. And Adam Lambert is promised to get us up and dancing ahead of his sellout show at the Royal Albert Hall. So join us for that and much more. We'll be live in just a moment. Good bitch, Adam Lambert. I love him. That's all for
there
today.
you go. So Holly and Josie have just been on Lorraine saying what they're going to be doing. I just thought it'd be interesting. I mean, I don't watch This Morning, but I want to see what Holly's got to say. And let's see what she has to say and if we believe it or not. What? Oh, hang on. So I've got to remember I'll put the volume up on the TV when she's speaking, but you'll probably be watching it on your own TVs. And then I'm only watching This Morning to see what she's got to say. I bet there's a lot of people that don't normally watch this programme. Their viewing figures will be off the wall for this statement from Holly. I must say I was surprised that she's even back on the sofa today, but she is, and we'll see what she's got to say. Now, this morning I've been making a video about Martin Frizzell, who is, of course, the editor. He's like, there's something about this guy that I think he's involved in all this. Oh, hello, Paul, watching from New Zealand. Hi. Yeah, so has this story actually reached New Zealand? This story about Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield and our TV presenters, has that got as far as New Zealand? I suppose there's a lot of people, expats in New Zealand watching. I don't know, watch the British TV. Like I'm in Spain. I'm not in Britain, but I do sometimes watch the British TV, though I don't normally watch This Morning. But of course, you'll know, I think most people, if you've come on here to watch this, you'll know what's been going on, that the guy, Philip Schofield, he's just left the big flagship Good Morning programme on ITV because of... of course he did. Paul, I was reading about that. What do you all think about it there then? Yeah, I was reading about that. He started his TV career over in New Zealand. So, yeah, I mean, he's always been a TV presenter, hasn't he? Ever since he was a child, or since he was young. He's never done anything else. Sometimes people come into presenting and they've had other careers, etc. But if Philip has never done that, he's been a TV presenter. And of course, he's reached like the pinnacle of his career. He's on, or he was on everything. Yeah, so there's stories everywhere in New Zealand. Oh my goodness. And what's the general feeling? Do they feel like, because it's not the fact that he came out as gay, is it? It's not the fact even that he had an affair really with a younger person, a younger guy. It's the scandal, if you like, is, did he groom him? This is the question. This is the question that everybody has got everyone up in arms. Not whether he's gay or not. You can say it's to do with homophobia. People don't care if he's gay or not in this day and age. Probably 75% of the presenters are gay. We don't care. That's not a problem. Don't even, I mean, it's a little bit, the boy was a lot younger than him, but so it's a little bit, but there you go. That's, you can't, just because he's had an affair with a younger boy. Well, that's common in sort of with lots of people have affairs with younger people. But it's the grooming thing. How young was he when he met him? This is the question, isn't it? This is the thing that's how young was the boy when he met him? Did he groom him? When he says their relationship didn't start, their sex relationship didn't start till he was 20. And then he's saying things like the boy asked him for a job, and so there's a lot of untruths being told, if you like. So that, to be honest, it's coming on. Right, I'm going to be quiet now while we hear the statement. So
Hi there. Good morning, Josie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Holmes.
Right, deep breath. Firstly, are you okay? I hope so. Feels very strange indeed sitting here without Phil. And I imagine that you might have been feeling a lot like I have. Shaken, troubled, let down, worried for the well-being of people on all sides of what's been going on, and full of questions. You, me, and all of us this morning gave our love and support to someone who was not telling the truth, who acted in a way that they themselves felt that they had to resign from ITV and step down from a career that they loved. That is a lot to process. And it's equally hard to see the toll that it's taken on their own mental health. I think what unites us all now is a desire to heal for the health and well-being of everyone. I hope that as we start this new chapter and get back to a place of warmth and magic that this show holds for all of us, we can find strength in each other. And from my heart, can I just say thank you for all of your kind messages, and thank you for being here this morning. Myself, Josie, Dermot, Alison, Craig, and every single person that works on this show will continue to work hard every single day to bring you this show that we love. So on that note, Josie,
Well, Mary, you bring it in. Bring it
Oh,
in.
let's have a hug. Let's have a hug. False tears. False tears.
thank you.
All we can now is be the family that we are.
Exactly,
Oh.
exactly.
Oh, so here's what we've got coming up. Many of us enjoyed this anyway.
So all we can do now is be the family that we are. Okay. So did you watch it? Did you watch it? Any of you? Well, I don't really understand why they do these sort of statements like on air like that, because that's just reminiscent of when Phil came out on air, and that was so false, and it's been proven to the things he said weren't true, etc. And now they've done it again, but this time with Holly. So to me, she's reading off a script for a start. Why wasn't she speaking just spontaneously from the heart? There's this program is completely manufactured, in my opinion, and the guy behind it all is Martin Frizzell. And funnily enough, this morning I'm prepared. Well, I have prepared a video. I want to look into him a bit deeper, because I think he's got a lot, almost the main influence on this whole thing. So. What do you think? What did you watch the statement then by Holly, and what do you think of it? Do you think it was genuine? Do you think it was heartfelt? It didn't come over like that to me. Again, she tried to put on the tears, but the tears didn't happen. I don't know. It just all feels weird. It's not right. It's not right. And you probably know, if you've watched any of my videos, my opinion was that what both of them should do is just be quiet for a while, not just ride it out. Holly could come back. Holly, although she may have known about the affair, I'm presuming she didn't know about the grooming and that, because otherwise surely she wouldn't have allowed him or his brother around her children. So you've got to presume that she didn't know about that, even if she did know that when he was having the relationship with Matthew, which I think is pretty apparent. So I don't like this way of sort of gaslighting people, trying to say, oh, this is it. And, she dug right into Philip there. I don't know. So it's a manufactured script. It's, to me, didn't feel heartfelt, but I don't know if it felt heartfelt to you. You let me know what you think. What did you think over there in New Zealand, Paul? Did you think it was heartfelt? Did you even watch it, or did you hear it on here? Yeah, I'd be interested to know what people felt who did watch it. I'm going to turn it off now, because I certainly don't want to watch the actual program. I just wanted to hear what she said and to see if I could feel any warmth from it. Now, the girl that's on with her now, Josie, she's nice. I remember her from Big Brother. She looks completely different now, so she's obviously had quite a lot of cosmetic surgery, but she came over on Big Brother as very nice, genuine. So I've got no sort of. I wonder what she thinks of it, or what do they all really? Because you'd love to have a chat with them, wouldn't you, and find out what they actually do think of all this, not what they feel like they've got to say, because obviously their careers as well are important. Yeah, it's that's it. Anyway, so that was Holly's statement. Is that what you think? Harp Sailor Harp. Yeah, I think it is lies. I do think it's lies, and but why are they carrying on lying? Why don't they just? I don't understand. It's lie after lie after lie. So there must be some way that they feel that they're protected somewhere along the line, because to me, you would be quiet. You'd be quiet. Just be quiet. Disappear for a while. The public do forget. There's lots of times people have come back, been rehabilitated. You know, famous people, celebrities, politicians do things. Look at Ant and Dec. When Ant had his sort of problem and that, he came back, but he stayed out of the way, did the right thing. He stayed out of the way. He did his, it was a drink. He went into rehab and stuff. And hi Jennifer, good morning. He did what I think is the right thing. That's what they're not doing, is the right thing. Just being quiet, admitting what you've done. And Phil has admitted, well, he's admitted some of what he's done. Be quiet, be humble, wait a while, let everything die down, and then come back. And, you know, people do forget, but people aren't going to forget. And I don't think they're going to accept that statement that Holly made this morning. To me, just seemed as false as all the other statements that they've made on there. So what did you think, Jennifer? Did you think it was a genuine, heartfelt? Yeah, I watched it, Jennifer, but it's finished now. The statement is finished. We were watching the statement and listening to the statement, but I presumed, like, people. Oh, you didn't see it, right? Okay, yeah, I can't put it on the thing because I'll get done for copyright. So, but basically, what she said was, she asked if. Right, I can't give the statement word for word because I did write down a few notes, but this is not word for word. But the gist of what she said was, first of all, she said, "Are you all okay?" You know, so she was like talking to the viewers. "Are you all okay? You know, you must have been traumatized by all these events." You know, which was quite a strange thing to say, I think. She sort of looked as if she was going to fill up, but she never, there were no tears, but it was that sort of look, you know, like, oh, you know, but there were no tears. It wasn't really, she wasn't really going to cry. She mentioned mental health. This is what makes me especially angry, this way of using Caroline Flack as, you know, Philip sort of almost threatening that if people don't start leaving him alone, he might end up like Caroline Flack. It was him who mentioned that first. Nobody else mentioned it first. He mentioned it. That's what he's been told to mention. That's the way they're trying to get out of this. They're using the mental health card. And you know, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want anything to happen to Philip. I wouldn't want him to do anything to himself. But he should not be comparing himself to Caroline Flack, because it's completely different. You know, what people think he's done is completely different from what happened to Caroline Flack. And Caroline Flack was already very vulnerable, and she received really no help from ITV whatsoever. So, you know, it's a completely, whereas I think Philip, they are trying to protect him in a roundabout way. So, hi, Bad Fairy. Did you see Bad Fairy? Did you see the actual statement? Oh, I don't know if she's going to the BBC. She needs to go somewhere else, I think. I think she'll be forever. Doesn't matter who they put on this sofa next to her. It'll always be. It's been so long that it's been Phil and Holly, hasn't it? That how can she really separate herself from that? I don't see how she can. Maybe as time goes on, people will. It depends how who they end up putting on that sofa with her. I don't think they can put anyone on there with her. I don't think it's going to work with Josie, this one with her. I don't think it'll work with Alison Hammond with her. Maybe Dermot. But from every time I see Dermot, any interviews in Dermot's there, he looks like he's just about to sell his story, because Dermot just looks like, oh my God, what's going on? That's how it comes over to me. Yeah, I think they're trying too hard. I don't think they're going to get through this or over this. And Martin Frizzell, the more I look into him, the more sort of things I find out about him. And if I get finished editing that video today, I will release that tonight. I made a video about him and this morning, and his connection with the McCanns, Madeleine McCann. So he's a strange character, Martin Frizzell, but he'll be the one that's orchestrated all this. He is the guy behind this morning. A couple of weeks ago, Philip Schofield referred to him as the king. He is the king. He's the one who decides what happens. And his star presenter was Philip. So he protected Philip until it got to a time when viewers were voting with their feet. And when they start losing viewers, that's all that matters ultimately. So he'll have protected Philip all this time because wasn't affecting the viewing figures, and now it started affecting the viewing figures because of all the connotations and all the rumours, etc. And that's why Philip had to go. Now, if this with Holly doesn't improve, she'll be gone as well because the viewing figures will count. Yeah, hi Tower Pal. No, there's no chemistry. When they hugged, why did they do that? These false hugs, they're false hugs. So it was like, oh, come here, like that. And you could tell they were both a bit like, oh my God, keep your distance. There is no chemistry. There's no genuine warmth. She might have been better off like bringing Fern Cotton, because they're quite friendly, aren't they? Her and Fern Cotton. They used to be on Celebrity Juice together. There might have been more chemistry between them. But yeah, I know Josie's been on it before, but she's not. I don't think she'll get chosen as a permanent thing. I like Josie. I think she's got a nice, easy way about her, but I don't see any chemistry between those two. So I can't see that she's going to end up being the permanent one on the sofa with Holly. This is what I mean. I don't think Holly. I think probably what's happened over the years is it's been Holly and Phil. And Holly, from all intents and purposes, what people say, but again, it's speculation. Everything's speculation. But, lots of people saying that Holly's actually not a very nice person. So she's probably, because she was so comfortable in her duo with Phil, she hasn't probably felt like she has to be very nice to other people. And now these people are the ones that are likely to be put on the sofa with her. And they, there's not, like you say, there's no chemistry because maybe she's just been so distant from them. That's a saying, isn't it? That you've got to be very careful to be nice to people on the way up, because you don't know when you're going to need those people on the way down. I think that might have happened. Yeah. Yeah. It's hi, Tracy. Hi. Oh, Nuzzles, it was you that said that Josie's not new. No, I know she's not new on the programme. But so what do you think? Do you think that I personally think they won't be able to find anyone that will go along with Holly, because there'll be you can see there's no chemistry there between them two. Josie probably doesn't even like Holly because Holly's probably been nasty to her. According to what other people say, she is nasty. So, I mean, now that'll be all over we'll see what Eamon Holmes has got to say about it, GB News, Dan Mutton, of course, and Martin Frizzell said in one of the interviews, it wasn't really an interview, I think he was ambushed on the pavement while he was walking the dog. He said there are scores to be settled. He said that. So he's trying to say that, you know, that the people that are speaking bad, like Kerry Katona, Dr. Raj, the thing is, there's so many of them, they can't all be scores to settle. And if they are, why are there so many scores to settle? You know, you see, you could upset, maybe Eamon was upset that he got booted off this morning. Maybe, so let's say you could take him, you could maybe, I don't know, say Kerry Katona or Dr. Raj, but when you add them all up together, it's like everything else. These little small things, when you put them together, you know, it makes a big thing. It's not just Eamon Holmes, it's not just Kerry Katona, it's not just Dan Wootton, it's not just those people. There's lots of them. And yeah, she said nothing mystery, did she? She didn't actually say anything. Oh, and I was yeah, so she faked the tears. She asked the viewers if they are okay. She said, oh, we were all really shocked to be lied to by Philip Schofield. She talked about mental health. Again, bringing up this, you know, everyone's trying to, you know, and it must be horrible. I'm sure it is absolutely horrible. I don't like it when I get like trolls on here, and I've only got a little channel. You know, the thought of there's a gentleman on here from New Zealand, and all right, okay, nus. You know, so and it's huge there because I'd forgotten he started off his career in New Zealand. I know that it's been reported in America because I've got viewers there that they've heard about it, read about it. Yes, now she's another one. I'd like to hear what she's got to say. She just put, what happened with Amanda Holden? You know, Amanda Holden, of course, who's on Britain's Got Talent, and she was very briefly on this morning, wasn't she? Was it while Holly was having a baby? I can't remember the details. And then she disappeared. And Amanda Holden has said that, what was it? It was, there are two things I won't allow in my house. One's spiders, and the other's Philip Schofield. So there's Amanda Holden as well. So it's not just Eamon or just Kerry or just, there's loads of people have felt this poisonous atmosphere. So there has to be something in it, doesn't there? There has to be. And yeah, I think when I finish this video off about Martin Frizzell, I think you might see that. I think he's a big part of it. Well, as I say, Philip Schofield called him the king. He has been the king over there for nearly 20 years or whatever. And he's protected Philip Schofield for a long time, I think, for whatever reason. You know, you can imagine your reasons, but yep. Yes, Jennifer, the golden child of ITV for 40 years. It always brings up the bigger question, doesn't it? Yes, it's not been proven yet. It's not been charged with anything. But at the end of the day, I think whatever you can argue about ages, when he met the boy, some people say he met the boy when he was 10. He says he met him when he was 15. And he did, you know, nothing happened until he was 20 and this, that, and the other. But it doesn't matter which way you look at it, even if you try and put it in the best sort of scenario, it's still a bit icky, isn't it, to groom a boy even from 15. I mean, it's especially from 10, it'd be awful, but from 15 even, it's all a bit, you know. And as I say, the lies, he tells lies. He said that he'd only seen him a couple of times, but that boy declared his love for him. He was up on the stage at the award ceremonies and things. It wasn't just a little fling and they had, 5 encounters or whatever that Philip was trying to do. That I don't like. It'd be better if he just said, yes, we did have a relationship, you know, and then when they asked, were you in love? And he said, no, we were just mates. And I just feel for that boy hearing that, because the boy's obviously in love with him, and then Philip just rubbishes their relationship like as if it was nothing. I think that's actually horrible. You know, I'd think more of him if he said, well, I fell in love. You know, this is what Matt Hancock said, wasn't it? When he went on I'm a Celebrity, and because of course during COVID, he started having that affair with Gina. Was it Gina, her name, I think? But when he went on I'm a Celebrity, I think people actually, whatever you think of him or don't think of him, I think a lot of people actually respected, because he didn't pull any punches with it. It was just like, well, I fell in love, I did the wrong thing. People want the celebrities, politicians, anyone who's in the public eye, people want to trust them. They do trust them. They believe things that they say. They look up to them. They watch them they feel like they're a member of their own family. Sometimes they see them all the time. Let me just have a look. Yeah, she did look sheepish, Heather. Yeah, Bad Fairy's saying Ruth off Loose Women is looking after Matt. I hope so. I do feel that's probably true, isn't it? Eamon said that, didn't he? And I think that, Ruth is a genuinely warm person. You can see that. And yeah, Jennifer, Phil needs to remember elderly people watching him, see him as family. This is what I was just saying. When you watch someone day in, day out on the TV, it does feel like part of you. They don't know you, but you're watching them every day, so you do feel like part of them. It's a really strange. It's like, for example, on my other YouTube channel where I teach Spanish, I've got some friends who follow me on there, for learning Spanish, but they're friends as well. And they always say to me, I feel like, I say, I haven't seen you for 6 weeks or whatever, when we're going to get together. And they go, oh God, I feel like I see you every day because I see you on the YouTube channel. That's only just a small thing, it's like, but it does, because you're seeing someone talking, you feel like they're, part of your life in some way. Of course, television is a big thing, especially how many millions of people that have watched that program, grown up with Philip Schofield. It's like the Jimmy Savile thing all over again, isn't it? And I come from an era where it feels like all our, it was Rolf Harris, Jimmy Savile, Stuart Hall that used to be on It's a Knocker. Just seemed like one after the other of people that I liked watching when I was a child that was suddenly turned out to be child lovers and that, and we had no idea. But yeah, I don't think that will save her, that statement. And the only thing that would possibly save her is if they could find someone to sit on that. I mean, she doesn't look 100%. It's finished. Hol and Phil and Holly, it's over, finished. So Phil's gone now. She needs to go, and she might pop back up another time. Do something different, Holly. Do something different. Because while she's still there as well, she's still associated with him, isn't she? Why are they so keen on her staying there when there's other people that could do it? Or they could set up a new format, call it something different. You've got to break away from those associations. Hello, Karasi Gibbon. Hello, good morning. Oh, don't forget to press the like if you're in the chat, if you don't mind. But Elaine, hi. Yeah. Why don't they do that? Why are they so keen to hang on to this format? They could have the same program, call it something different, change it. I mean, I think it is too old-fashioned anyway, the format now. At the end of the day, you do have to change these things because there's new generations, new people coming up. Things are changing just in general. There's a lot more people watch YouTube now, aren't they? And I personally never watch the television now. Very rare that I would watch the television. If there was something, I'm trying to think, what would be the last thing that I watched on the television? Oh, the FA Cup final on Saturday. Yeah, watch the football if it's on the television, or there might be some dramas, but all of them you can watch on catch up, or you can get on YouTube or things like that. Ros Doyle, hi. So Ros is saying, I knew of a lady in Ireland many years ago who put on her lipstick because she believed the handsome newsreader on the TV could see her. That's the sort of thing I would do, like the lipstick, bit of perfume. I do that bit. Before I come live, I always put a bit of perfume on and brush my teeth and things like that. And I think, why am I doing that? It's like in the USA, the woman. So Jennifer's saying, it's like in the USA, the woman can't remember her name. She wears suits and has short hair. She was despised by many. I don't know who that is. Can anyone? Yes, Heather. You know, even Ant and Dec, and much as I actually do like Ant and Dec, it's almost, aren't there other presenters? You know, there's lots of, I suppose they just get a winning brand like that. I suppose anything that Ant and Dec is on, it normally does well, doesn't it? Because people do love them. They've got this way now, and see how Dec, sorry, it was Ant. Was it Ant or Dec? Oh my God, I always get mixed up. It was Ant, was it, that had the problem with drinking, or was it Dec? Don't remember. Anybody remember? Hi, Sheila. Did you see the Holly statement? What did you think of it? Oh, I know who you mean, Jennifer. It was Ellen DeGeneres. And she, because there was a climate of, and you know, funny enough, honestly, I'm not just saying it, but I never liked her either. Because I do get feelings from people. We all do, don't we? You know, and I always found her a little bit condescending. That's how I didn't know she was a bully or anything like that, but just the way she spoke it, she always seemed Ellen DeGenerate. Yes, Alf, you're right. She always seemed very condescending, Ellen DeGenerate or DeGeneres. But she's gone now, I think, hasn't she? She was cancelled, wasn't she? I didn't see it, Sheila. Well, you didn't miss anything. But yeah, so it just shows you start taking your audience, and not only your audience, but the people that you work with, for mugs and treating them badly. You can only get away with being a certain amount of diva, if you like. You know, if Phil and Holly have got this some false smile, I've got the TV on in the background with the sound down, and it's just flashed to Giles Brandreth. And the big smile, you know, the false smiles that are coming out on there today. It's like, everything's fine. No, there's no problem here. No toxicity whatsoever. No, definitely not. This is a fantastic, happy atmosphere. That's how it feels. It's like gritted teeth. This is all brilliant. Brilliant. What's everyone talking about? Toxic atmosphere. That's how it feels. But they do. They get Hi, Heather. Yeah, they get too far. That's right. They get to feel like they can do whatever. That's the point I felt that it got to with Philip. He's got away with it for so long. You know, the golden boy, like somebody was saying, for 40 years or whatever. You know, he could really do whatever he probably has been doing whatever he wants for so long. And he thought he could carry on to do invincible, just think they're invincible. And of course it started going wrong for them, didn't it? It was the Q-gate, wasn't it, with the Queen's funeral, because that you know, that's what started. Well, because when Philip came out as gay, which is an absolute load of rubbish, he's been gay for years, of course he has. He didn't just suddenly discover he was gay at 58 years old. It's just a load of rubbish. But he came out and people were sympathetic towards him. That was another fabricated hug fest and statement reading, all false and artificial. No tears, again, if you watch that, no tears. So he did that, and people, you know, people felt warm towards him because they thought, oh, you know, now he's talking that a lot of this is homophobia. How dare he? How dare he say it's homophobia? It's nothing to do with homophobia. He's using the homophobia card. He's using the mental health card by comparing himself to Caroline Flack. He's using any trick in the book to try and wriggle out of this. I'm supposed to listen to, yeah. Yeah, I've never liked loose women either, and it's awful. I feel I should like loose women. I like it. Depends who's on it. Like what you're saying, it depends who's on it. There's certain times I don't. I like Ruth. Who else was it that I used to quite like on there? Well, I can't remember. It's that long ago since I even watched it, to be honest. And it's all very shouty, and it's all like. I don't think it does anything for women, to be honest. I think, if I can't, I'm a woman, and I think I'm sympathetic towards women, and then I watch that, it doesn't really make, I don't think it's good advertisement for women. But anyway, yeah, Jane McDonald is. Jane McDonald, she is like a national institution, isn't she? And that's who they got to take over the soap awards thing, didn't they? But yeah, she is. They do need some new blood. Why have they not found any? It's a bit of a mission because you really, over the years, what should be happening is, normally new people are coming up, and then eventually as older people retire or give, except quite often in entertainment, of course, look at Bruce Forsyth, they don't retire, do they? I think a lot of people who work in show business, they thrive on it. That's their lifeblood. I had a student actually who was I was teaching Spanish to, and she was Joan Collins's cousin. And she said that Joan Collins just loved work, just loved working. She would take any job that anybody offered her because and that's what keeps her young, because she's into her 80s now, I think, isn't she? And yeah. Oh, Crazy Gibbon is saying, I watch Twitch. I've not what's the word? I've not got that. I don't even know what Twitch is yet. There's this Twitch. There's so many things now. Yeah, that's it. What is Twitch? You've got Twitch, you've got Discord, YouTube, of course. People are turning into I've sent my son, he's 26. He never watches the TV ever, except maybe if there's football on or something like that. He just doesn't. He quite likes I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here, but that's about the only program that he watches on the TV. The TV, maybe it's past its golden age, maybe because now everything's so. We used to only have a few channels, didn't we? And we would all watch the same things more or less. And now, of course, everybody's watching something different, aren't they? So what's Twitch? A streaming platform where someone streams themselves playing video games. But if you don't play video games, would you go on it? Oh, and so what I'm saying, if you wanted your news, though, Crazy Gibbon, if you wanted to watch news, hi, Vivian, you don't have time to watch TV. I know. Well, that's what's good. I like to watch YouTube for that reason, because I watch it on my phone and just carry it around the house with me and whatever I'm doing. But I like to listen. It's nice to listen to something, isn't it? And just in the background while you're busy doing whatever you're doing. No, so you wouldn't go there for news. Well, that's the thing is to get. So do they do what? So it's not just video games. So they do all sorts of things. And what you go in and you choose what you want to see. Ah, right. Okay. So they'll be playing a game with an audience and while they're playing. Right. Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should try it one day and see if I can find anything interesting on there. But I suppose I could teach Spanish on there, could I? Or do a Spanish class, and maybe people would watch the Spanish class or an English class, because I teach English as well. So yeah, I've got to look into it one day. Right. So, well, gosh, so there's quite a few of you here in the end. That's nice. I don't want to go now because we could talk about this all day, couldn't we? It's pretty much what you're doing right now, but you had a game plan and you were showing the game on screen. Right, okay. Yeah, to teach Spanish, that's it. I might try it one day just to see, because I do try and keep up with things, but it's difficult because things are changing all the time. Oh, so that's right, that's what I was saying. So years ago, where my parents, the TV just sort of came in, like, you know, in their generation. And the TV was like, oh my God, it was like a god in the corner of the room. You know, it was fantastic. I always say they were addicted to the television, because didn't matter what problem you had or what was going on, you had to wait for the adverts, especially if Coronation Street was on. Like, oh, well, do we have to talk about this now? Can you just wait for the adverts? You know, this wouldn't happen now, of course, because you could watch catch up. You didn't have catch up then or anything like that. You had to watch it in the moment. And yeah, it would be good for the Spanish, Jennifer. So I sort of like resented television for quite a long time, because I felt like my parents were addicted to it. But one program I always did like when I was young was Dallas. I don't know if any of you on here are old enough to remember Dallas, but look out, you know, that captivated everybody, didn't it, with the shooting of JR and who shot JR. As you know, that can't really happen nowadays, I think, because there's so many. It's not just the 4 channels and what everybody watching the same thing. Who shot JR? Do you remember it? I loved Dallas. That is the one program that I would actually stay in for, because, as I say, you know, you couldn't watch it on catch up or whatever. We sort of got to grips with video in things in the end, but you know, it was a whole different world, wasn't it? And then when I moved away from home, first of all, I actually didn't have a television for years. I just used to listen to the radio, because I felt like the television had been such a big part of when I was growing up. It was like the most important thing in our house. My parents were so addicted to the television that I didn't have one for a long time. And then eventually I did get a black and white one, which was interesting, because when the TV license people used to come round, they never believed that you had a black and white TV, because the black and white TV license was only about £14 or whatever, and the obviously the colour one was a lot more expensive, not as expensive as it is now, but it was maybe £90 in the time I'm thinking. But the black and white television license was only £14. So I had a black and white license and a black and white TV, but they were always knocking on my door and saying, "Can we come and have a look at it?" They didn't believe that I had a black and white. Hey, Jackie. Well, you've missed. What have you missed? Well, we started at 10. Oh my God, it's 11:35. I can't believe that. Oh no, we started at 11. That's right. So it's 10 o'clock in the UK. We just watched or listened to the Holly statement to see what we thought of it. Don't think much of it. And then we've got into talking about a load of different things, like you do. Did that start in the middle of nowhere in a plane crash? Are you talking Lost? Yes, Cara say. I watched that. We watched all that. I didn't watch the last series. Well, I did eventually, but Lost, it was brilliant, wasn't it, when it started? But it did go on and on and on. It probably, sometimes when they get a good series like that, they take it too far, don't they? It's better to really stop it a bit early when people are still right into it. I loved Lost, but as it went on, I just got a bit, I don't think I watched the last series properly. Another series, did you see it, Jackie? Yeah, very false, I thought, very false. Yeah, maybe lower budget towards the end. But the other series that I think that happened with was The Walking Dead. I love that series, The Walking Dead. I watched it. I was absolutely addicted to it. You know, with the thing of who did Negan kill, that cliffhanger, that thing, that was. But then again, I think that was the peak of The Walking Dead. It went off. It did get better again when one of the characters, Samantha Janus, who played Alpha, that she was a good character. But then after Rick went out of it, and after some of I think they kept it on too long. But it's finished now. I haven't even watched the last episode. There would have been a time when, God, I was literally, it would come out in America on the Sunday night, and I was watching it as soon as I got up on the Monday morning. You know, because I was just glued to what was going to happen in the next episode. Haven't seen Motherland. I like House MD. Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? 4 seasons you watched of The Walking Dead. Yeah, you should. You've not watched the best season then. So it sort of, I think The Walking Dead started off really well. Then there was a point in it where it did go a little bit, and then it got better again. You know, it did that all through its. Well, they got a new director in, and the best. I think it was season 9 is that what I think is the best series of The Walking Dead. But yeah, maybe we'll go back to it one day. Is that the Motherland you're talking about there, Jennifer, where you watched it when you were a teenager and then you had to walk home terrified? Some programs really do affect you, don't they? You know, if you've got a vivid imagination like I have. And it's funny with The Walking Dead, because I used to watch that now. I used to like watching the characters in it because I thought they were dead capable. That's what I like, the characters in that. If any of you think, oh, I wouldn't watch The Walking Dead because it's got zombies in it, it's not about the zombies. I don't like zombie films or anything. But the characters, I like the psychology of the different characters and how they're all differently affected, you know, by the apocalypse and everything. That's what I like. And that is fascinating. And I'd watch it at night because I've watched it over and over again, some episodes, and that I loved Rick, and I loved there was a female character called Carol, who was an older lady, you know, who was a strong character. They had all different characters in there. Daryl, of course, but my favourite was always Rick. But and Negan. There'll be people out there thinking, what you're talking about. But even though it was like a sort of quite scary series, I used to quite like watching it at night to send me off to sleep. But I remember, so, you know, if you talk about things that are scary and get you, like once, me and my son, we were watching, is it 26 Weeks Later? That's a zombie film, funnily enough. It makes it sound as if I like zombie films. I don't. But we were watching it one night. It might have been, no, it must have been nighttime. And oh my God, I think that film is terrifying. And as we were watching it, the doorbell rang and we just shut up. We were frightened to death to answer the door in case there was a zombie at the door. I mean, it was ridiculous. We had to turn it off and watch it the next day in the daylight. You know, so some films get you like that. Silence of the Lambs, was it? That's it. 28 Days Later. Karazay. I think, Shaun of the Dead is funny as well. Yeah. My cat, you need to, looks like it's died on the pillow. Oh no, yeah. That actually is obviously not a real cat, but I had a cat called Angel, a white cat, and that stuffed toy, if you like, just reminds me of her. That's why I bought it from a charity shop. But 28 Days Later. Yeah, The Exorcist. I don't know. It never really frightened me that much, Texas. I don't know why. Maybe I do. I don't like gory films. I like suspenseful films. You know, one of my favourite films was Silence of the Lambs. I remember going to see that at the cinema, and people were actually, you know, fainting and walking out and everything. That was really. Oh gosh, The Chainsaw Massacre. I haven't watched that because that might be a bit gory for me, but I like true crime things. And it's funny, isn't it? You watch all these true crime, you know, I've been watching true crime and now making the videos on them as well for years, and sometimes I think, gosh, why are you doing that? Because you're just frightening yourself to death. Like, I used to love walking in the woods. That's always been one of my favorite things to do, and now I think if I'm going to the woods, I'll be thinking how many bodies are in these woods, because they always seem to put them in the woods. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other, because there seemed to be a spate of, as I said, when I was a kid, what really frightened me and what still frightens me now, if you never see it on the TV, but is like the Hammer House of Horror. And they're ridiculous, really. I mean, they're not even scary, but even the music now, it's how things affect you, isn't it, when you're young? Even the music now, if I hear it, or I see Frankenstein or Christopher Lee as Dracula, I get scared. You know, I actually feel scared, like, because when I was a kid, I was a bit sort of, I think I was allowed to watch too many things that I shouldn't really have watched, and read books that I shouldn't really have read, and a bit like the equivalent of video games now that people say they let their children play violent video games. When I was younger, we used to read books, watch Hammer House of Horror and Tom and Jerry that they ended up saying was too violent for children. But Tales of the Unexpected, Jackie, I really like that. Really good. Rosemary's Baby, David saying, yeah, that was a good film. Of course, that was Mia Farrow, wasn't it? Yeah. What was the woman last night? Eyes Wide Shut, Jennifer. I haven't seen that one. Eyes Wide Shut. So yeah, I do like a good scary film, but I do think they're more scary when they're I don't like a load of gore, and I just don't like that. I don't like watching it, but I like psychologically scary films. I watched one recently on Netflix. I'm trying to think where it was. Oh, can't remember the name of it. I watched that many that they sort of all merge into one in the end. Tom Cruise, Jennifer. He's such a good actor, Tom Cruise. And now I never liked him in Well, I don't think I've ever seen Top Gun. He was always too much of a pretty boy for me. He was like, he looked too clean cut. I always tend to like actors that are a little bit more, have these strange tastes. But then I don't know if any of you have ever read Interview with a Vampire, which is a series of books by, I think it's Anne Rule who wrote it. And there's characters in it. There's a character in it called Lestat. He's like the main character, and he's a vampire. I mean, it sounds ridiculous now, but and then when they made the film, it's a cult. It's got a cult following. It's Interview with a Vampire, and then there's a series of books about Lestat, and it had a cult following. And me and my friends, we were part of this. We loved all the books. We'd read all the books, and then they announced that they were making a film, and that Tom Cruise was going to play Lestat. And there was an uproar, absolute uproar in this cult world of, the Interview. People boycotted the film. They said there's no way that Tom Cruise can play Lestat because he's too clean. Lestat is a character, really dark, sort of psychological character. And I thought the same. I wasn't going to go and see the film. Because of that, many fans of Interview with a Vampire boycotted the film at the time because it was going to be Tom Cruise, because we associated him with Top Gun, and you couldn't get any more different with the characters. Anyway, in the end, I did go and see the film, and he was brilliant. He was really, really. That's the first time I realised that. I know he's a bit strange that he's a Scientologist, and Anne Rice. That's it, Anne Rice. But that's the first time that I realised that Tom Cruise, actually, he's a really, really good actor. Because if he could play those, like Anthony Hopkins, he's another one, Brad Pitt, when they can play completely different characters where you almost don't recognise them, different, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, all those, really good actors, that they can play such different characters and you can believe in them. And I was really surprised how he played Lestat. He was really, really good. Yes, Jackie, I like more rugged actors as well. I do like Brad Pitt, though I haven't said that. But I like Anthony Hopkins, and I like not Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp. And who's that other guy? Ray Winston. I don't know if you know who he is. I like him as well. So what put you off Robert De Niro, Jennifer? Why did you start to not like him? Just out of interest. Anyway. So yeah, anybody seen a good film? I think there's a shortage of good films now. That's, of course, now a lot of people watch things on Netflix. So I used to love going to the cinema. I can't even remember the last time I went to the cinema. That's probably a shame, to be honest, because films are better. Yes, Liam Neeson and Johnny Depp, yeah. Philip Schofield's a good actor. Oh, gosh. Oh, he's such a nerdy little thing, isn't he? I mean, oh dear, he's just, no. Well, I'm sure he's devastated that I don't find him attractive, but I certainly don't, and I'm sure he's really upset about that. But he's, yeah, no, I like someone a bit more rugged, that's for sure. Okay, there you go. Oh, so I only really was going to come on for a little while, and I've ended up sort of talking about a lot of other films, a lot of other things. Photographer. What? A photograph of Jimmy Savile and Guardian and Al Pacino quoted as doctors for the NHS. Al Pacino? Doctor for the NHS? Oh, well, yeah. I don't know how you do that, but you can if you want to. Let me think. So Al Pacino, he was the one that was in The Godfather, wasn't he? Because I do sometimes get him mixed up with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. I prefer Robert De Niro to Al Pacino, but he's got an island like the Epstein. You just think, how many things are going on all over the world, and we don't know. But I think this Philip Schofield thing, my personal opinion, is endemic of I think it's like with the Jimmy Savile thing. It exposed a lot of things, didn't it? And then about the sort of echelons of British society and all this endemic child loving, and then it all seemed to sort of just disappear and we didn't hear of it. And now it's sort of coming up again. I think it's linked with politics. I think most politicians, there's a big culture of I think, as I've said in another bit, there's at least 50 MPs currently being investigated for SEX offences. So we don't get to know about that. And even when I think, sometimes they just sort of bow out of public life gracefully, and then other times they don't. And, we just don't get to hear the half of what's going on, do we? Kevin Spacey. I know, he's another one. I always loved Kevin Spacey. I always thought he's a really good actor. He's always he's a bit dark, isn't he? He plays quite to me, the characters that he plays the best are the dark characters. I thought the film Seven with Brad Pitt and Samuel Jackson, was it that was in that, or oh gosh. Anyway, with Brad Pitt and Kevin Spacey, he was the baddie in that, in Seven. Oh, that was a good film. It's not a nice film, but it was a very good film. It'd be rife, won't it? It'd be rife. Anytime where you've got someone in a position of power in some way, like this with Philip Schofield, he's got the power, he's on TV, he's famous, he's got the money, and that boy was probably blindsided by him. Absolutely. You just think if you were 15 or younger, and then this person who's famous and rich and, regaling you with presents and taking you to hotels and introducing you to famous people, you'd just be completely, as a young person, you'd just be totally, starstruck, wouldn't you, by it all? So... yeah, we all want to hear Matthew's side of the story. Well, do you know what? If you're still there, apparently he's working in a pub in Manchester somewhere. I'd like to have a chat with him as well. I bet he's lovely. I bet he's a lovely lad. I mean, I've seen him on, the clips that they've showed of him when he's been on This Morning. That is probably a really, really nice lad. Bless him. But he'll have been shut up. Though he says that he doesn't want to say, if he is in love with Philip still, he won't want to say anything. But, maybe he's still got stars in his eyes about him. It might not be a money reason that he doesn't want to talk about Philip. Maybe he's defending him because he's still in love with him. Yeah, I saw that video, massacre of Philip having lunch with him when he was so young, but Philip said he never saw. Oh, anyway, don't get me started on that. Okay, I'm going to finish off this video about Martin Frizzell, who I think has got a lot to do with this, and I'll see what comes out, etc. He's gregarious and confident. Yeah. Well, he came over as confident. That's okay. Right, I've got to go because I've got to get on with this video. But thanks very much for being here with me. Wasn't really expecting it to go as long as this, but we got talking about all sorts of different things. Have a really good day, and remember to always live and love very carefully. And as always, till I see you next time in the next video, may your gods go with you. Bye.